Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott,
And I'm Ben.
and this is Couchcast number 48.
Yes, it is.
I was gonna say 47.
You remembered it. You remembered it this time.
I'm very tired for absolutely no reason, but
Sounds like a personal problem.
yeah,
I would say go drink coffee, but you can't have caffeine, so
I can't.
that
Sucks.
sucks.
I
Yeah.
really I wish that I could, but at the same time, do I really need more energy? A lot of the time, there's some times where I
feel like the answer is yes, always.
always.
Yes.
I don't know if people want to see me with that much energy though. It's a lot of energy.
Is it? Because
It's a lot.
I feel like realistically your energy levels are pretty low.
But
Not
you've
to
seen
say
me
that
when
you're tired, but you're just a very chill dude.
I am a very chill dude, but when I'm not chill, when I'm very hyper,
It's
You've
great.
seen-
I love it. It's fucking amazing. You're obnoxious as hell, which puts you at my normal level.
oh god, I am obnoxious as hell. Anyway, so we were looking at podcast topics, and nothing in the news really jumped out at us. So we're doing one of our smashing things where it says smashing. Got really British there for a second for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
So I shouldn't.
Do you want me to take over? Should I be the one talking?
Yeah, go ahead and talk.
All right. So what
Save me.
Scott was trying to say is that we looked at news, 'cause we typically try to be at least semi-relevant and everything, and nothing really popped out at us as anything that needed to be talked about or anything like that. So instead, we've decided to talk about crossovers within video games and or maybe what franchises we would like to see branch into other genres, or maybe even just other styles of the same genre. Specifically, you brought up it's Mario versus Rabbids, and then the
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed DLC in Final Fantasy 15.
And apparently there's going to be some sort of Final Fantasy thing in Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. But yeah.
Neither do I.
Yeah, so that's kind of what sparked this. As always, I want to start having people comment earlier, so it's before the end of the video, because they're never there at the end of the video, most likely. Percentage-wise, people don't make it to the end of the video.
I mean, that's fair, sure.
So let us know in the comments what you guys would like to see in regards to this topic, and yeah, we'll read them and we'll comment. And usually we would respond possibly in the next podcast, but we're recording 2 today because I'm going out of town.
Yes.
Visiting family in Boston. Be fun. So much fun. Looking forward to that. Anyway,
all the funs.
So let's hop right into it. Ben, go.
Well, you mentioned, again, specifically the Assassin's Creed and Final Fantasy stuff and the Mario versus Rabbids. And personally, for the most part, when it comes to actual crossovers, I'm not really a huge fan. I don't know of many instances of crossovers and that type of thing. So, maybe there was one that I was a huge fan of and I just can't remember it. But for the most part,
I mean, it's mostly fighting games.
Well,
Because it's the easiest way.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a little bit of a different story, I think.
Yeah.
But that's also not really a crossover. Because when I think crossover, I think what they did back in the 90s with all the cartoon shows and everything like that, where you would still get all the hijinks and comedy or whatever from your favorite characters of the one series, and then you get it with this other series and it's just one amazing funny thing or whatever. And I don't think that's ever really been done in a video game. Typically when it's a crossover, there might be an Easter egg cameo type of thing of a character, and then a costume, and that's the extent of the crossover. Or it's literally just a completely different game unrelated to the original 2 games, where it just happens to have the same characters. The Mario versus Rabbids. It doesn't really take place in the Mario universe. It doesn't take place in the Rabbids universe.
Well, and yeah, but I think
it's not like a platformer or anything. Like, it's this weird, like, XCOM type of strategy game.
Yeah, but I don't think that, like, a crossover needs to be canonical in any way. I think, like, it can just be...
Yeah.
And so I think, like...
I'm not saying it has to be canonical. I'm just saying that, like, typically a crossover doesn't directly relate in terms of, like, gameplay aesthetics.
Sure.
In any way. And that's part of why I get, you know, kind of like meh about it. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, like, if there was a Mario game where you could play as, like, Mario and the Rabbids and, you know, like, it was like an actual Mario game, like, that would be cooler, in my opinion, than the thing that they released. Not that I've played or can really comment on the quality of that game, but in terms of, like, the appeal of the crossover aspect.
All right. Well, okay, so we've established that Ben doesn't like fun things. So what do you want to see?
Well, I would love to see just, like, existing games kind of, like, branch outside of their established little pocket. Like, you know, we were talking briefly about this before we started recording, and I said, you know, that if I could see Halo in any other light, I would want to see it in either, like, a Battlefield type of game, you know, where, like, you could spawn in as, you know, like, a basic Marine with, you know, just, like, an assault rifle, and then that's it, or whatever. You know, something very similar to the Star Wars Battlefront games, but in the Halo universe. I think that'd be sweet. Like, I would love to drop in as, like, a hunter and just, like, take people out. That would be amazing. Or if they went kind of, like, more the Ghost Recon route, where, you know, it's, like, you know, kind of super realistic and, like, stealthy and everything, and you could even, you know, it wouldn't necessarily have to be versus the Covenant, because, I mean, like, you have that whole idea of, like, oh, well, you know, how would you, like, stealthily take out a high-level elite or something? And it's like, well, you know, I mean, yeah, the shield is there, but there are A, ways around that, and B, it doesn't have to be the Covenant, because there was a whole war, you know, against the, you know, rebels or whatever they were called. I can't recall right now, but...
The Insurgents?
I think that was it, yes.
Sounds right.
Yeah. But it basically, the other humans, there was, like, you know, a big war between the UNSC and this, like, splinter kind of, like, rebellious group of humans. And
well, it was like the outer colonies, right? Because they were being treated unfairly because they were... Yeah.
But like, in terms of, like, canonically speaking, like, there's a lot of, like, zealotry and everything involved with that. Like, the leader wasn't exactly the most sane person. And the books, like, touch on that a lot, and, like, they even have, like, entire missions that are detailed in the books, and it is so freaking cool, and I've always wanted it, and I never got it, and it made me upset.
No, I got you. I have, you know, not surprising to anyone, I have a very desire with Gears of War.
Oh, shocker. Scott wanting something out of Gears of War? What?
Well, yeah. So what I want, and, you know, obviously you have to be careful because of what like, not that it's a bad game, but the Halo Wars series is not, like, a very well made RTS as far as RTSs go. Like, it's a solid game, but
I never played either of them, like, super in depth. I do agree with you that they aren't great, and that's why I didn't play them super in depth. But I feel like they could be much better if they didn't have the insistence upon relying on a controller.
Yeah.
Like,
I think Halo Wars 2 did okay controlling on PC, but it's still just, like, it didn't feel... It felt like it was trying to be the next StarCraft, but it wasn't better than StarCraft.
Well, I mean, even, like, you know, from a PC versus console aspect, like, the way the game is structured and built is catered around the fact that you're gonna have limited buttons and everything. And one of them,
yeah.
Well, I mean, like, typically when you're talking about RTSs and everything, like, one of the things that people enjoy the most about it are, it's going to be the, like, APM and everything. So if you're limited to, like, I don't have a button to, like, go to the action that's being called out by the dialogue just with a simple keystroke, like, if you don't have that, that's going to slow everything down. And then you also can't, like, bind teams to certain hotkeys and everything. So I think that's why Halo Wars wasn't as good as what it could have been.
Well, I can agree with Halo Wars 1. Halo Wars 2 is pretty functional on a PC level.
Okay.
Like, it's like I said, it's no StarCraft, but it is not. I think it's a little bit more than just a port to the PC from the Xbox version. If that makes sense. But anyway, I bumped my mic. There's a book, and I forget which book it is. But it's set in between Gears 2 and Gears 3. And the COG settled on an island. And while they're there, they have to fight some Stranded. Or they don't necessarily have to fight the Stranded, but they have to interact with the Stranded, and you could easily retcon it and have them fight some Stranded and stuff. As well as time goes on, the the Lambent start invading.
Okay.
And so there's some epic battles and everything. And when I'm reading it, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, this is really cool, and like I would love to see an RTS of this, like being able to control like the entire island and everything like that from a bird's eye view.
I mean, obviously, like I didn't read the book or anything, so I'm not like questioning your opinion or anything. It's just more of a potential clarification, I guess. But like, would you want an RTS out of that, or? Because, like, just knowing what I know about Gears of War, I feel like almost an XCOM experience would be better. I don't know if you've ever even played XCOM.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's still kind of
similar. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that could also play out well.
So, I mean, I guess, like, the way I was looking at it was, like, Gears of War is, like, very much like a squad-based game as it is. That having it be like RTS would.
Well, the thing about the RTS aspect is that like the battles in the books in particular are a lot larger than the battles in the games.
Sure.
And there's a lot more coordination where it's like, we're gonna have all these teams here, and like it's still squad based because they want to keep it within the canon,
relevant,
like,
yeah.
But like, it's a lot more of like, okay, now we have to send helicopters over here to help these people because they're getting pushed back and all that. Like, so it's like, it seems like almost too big for an XCOM game. But I haven't played XCOM that much, and like, I'm sure you could make it fit where you can bring in helicopters if you needed to. But I feel like something like that, like, kind of seeing the broad strokes, and I feel like in Gears 2 they kind of tried to do that, where they were like, when you're like pushing into the Locust home, and like you have like other teams drop in, and you're like, hey, we're all fighting together, but not really, because it's just all scripted off in the distance and you can't really affect it at all. Just sort of that like gritty, realistic, like everyone's fighting for the same goal in like the face of like annihilation would be really cool. And like, I feel like almost like the grittiness of Gears would like just really make for a good overall strategy game. Like, it could, and like I will agree that like the XCOM could work as well.
Yeah,
like the XCOM style, the turn-based strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like my main thought in terms of like XCOM being the better option was just simply because like XCOM is, you know, very cover oriented, and so is you know Gears of War, but RTSs are typically just kind of like, my guys are standing in the middle of a field shooting at your guys that are standing in the middle of a field. So but I mean, I can kind of see where you're coming from. I know that. Hi, Zevran. Please
Hello, kitty.
Stay right there. Don't come any closer. You're gonna knock into things. But I know it's like already been done, but I feel like Halo Wars would have been much better had it been a little looser on its like restrictions and everything, because it was a very restricted experience. The bit that I've played, like there was almost always a secondary goal other than just like build up your guys and take out the base. And when it comes to RTSs, like I've never been able to get super into like Warcraft or Starcraft. And I mean, maybe it's just because I don't play them enough or something, but I always felt like
you definitely can't really casually play StarCraft.
Well, yeah. But I mean, I always found them extremely difficult. Like even if I was playing on like the easiest AI setting, like it would be hard for me. But on the other side of the fence, I guess, in terms of like difficulty and everything, there was the Command and Conquer series, which I played those and I loved them. And one of my favorite things about them is that, like, if you built up the proper defenses and everything, you could effectively, literally just train an army of whatever the hell you wanted. And if you had enough of it, you would win. So, like, that was, like, one of my favorite things about it was that, like, it didn't necessarily force you into a specific type of strategy or anything. Like, you didn't have to, by minute 5, I need to have this, otherwise I'm screwed. And, like, that was what I had wanted out of Halo Wars, and I, obviously didn't get it, but, again, I didn't play it a whole lot, so maybe I can't accurately speak to that.
They did just recently release a remake for PC of Halo Wars 1.
Yeah.
So it might be worth checking out.
Yeah, maybe.
And then
I don't know.
Halo Wars 2 obviously is on PC as well.
I know it's nothing, because you haven't played like anything in the Command and Conquer universe, have you? I don't think you have.
I played a game. I can't remember if it was I think it was. I want to say it was Command and Conquer Red Berets.
No. That is not a game. The closest would actually be the game that I was going to briefly talk about, which is Command and Conquer Renegade, which is a first-person shooter, but like with RTS elements, kind of. And that was like another like subgenre, I guess, I wanted to see out of Halo, because like Command and Conquer Renegade was basically like, you have the 2 bases and then you have all the people, and the people can spawn in as like all these like different kinds of troops and everything, and you would get money over time as your like ore collector would go out and or I guess Tiberium miner would go out and mine Tiberium, bring it back to base, all that kind of stuff, right? But you would also get extra money for getting kills, destroying vehicles, destroying base objects, all that kind of stuff. And it had like a lot of like subtle intricacies to it, just because if you destroyed the enemy's like war factory or something, then they couldn't build tanks or anything like that anymore. And then, if you destroy their barracks, like all their special infantry units are no longer accessible. So like, even if you didn't necessarily destroy the command center, which, like that's always like the end goal. If you destroyed something else, then it would still be worth it effectively. And, you could even become an engineer to like repair damaged buildings and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I would have loved to see something like that come out of Halo as well. Obviously it never happened, but just simple stuff like that, in terms of, you know, like having the option to be someone that isn't a Spartan, or I guess, you know, in the one offshoot, you know, is someone else other than an ODST, which that is still like one of, if not my absolute favorite Halo game, was ODST. So
yeah,
and that's part of it is the music, definitely, and part of it was the difference in gameplay and everything, because you actually had to kind of, you know, go about things a little more tactically and everything. Like, you couldn't just run in and be like, oh, I'm going to be fine. You know, like, they brought health kits back and everything. It was amazing.
Yeah. I got you. So the game that I was thinking of that I played, I believe was called Commandos. Okay. And it was basically XCOM, but like 20 years ago. Apparently, if I'm remembering correctly, this is like when my parents bought like a PC and it came with like a bunch of like demo games basically, and that like almost full games. Like, that's how I actually got like Age of Empires 2 the first time. It was included in this PC purchase. So like this was one of those games, and I thought it was Command and Conquer, but I think it was this Commandos thing, because I guess it was more of a turn-based. It wasn't turn-based, but it was a tactics thing. It's weird.
Okay.
But
yeah.
So Commandos, that was fun, if that was what it was called. I googled Red Beret RTS, and so it brought me to that. So
awesome. All right.
Do you have another one? Because I have a huge one that I've wanted for probably about 15 years at this point.
Why don't you go ahead and talk about it then?
I want Pokemon to have a fucking MMO that is basically exactly what the Game Boy games are, but an MMO.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Why not? Like, it fits so well, because it's an open world. Like, you would obviously have to make it bigger and whatnot. Like, I get that, but it fits so well.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
Yeah, I can only imagine that the main reason that hasn't happened is balancing. And also, I feel like they would have to...
balancing what?
A lot.
Well, because like, if in terms of like Pokemon strength, like, there's been plenty of like Pokemon tournaments in the past where it's just, you know, you take your 6 Pokemon and then you go and play in tournaments.
Well, yeah, sure. I just mean, like, they would have to, I guess, you know, first of all, decide how many Pokemon they're going to have. You know, like, are they just going to do the original
251.
Why specifically 251?
Because those are the only ones that matter. Fuck the rest of them.
Okay, so...
The original 251.
Okay, well, it was 151, first of all.
Well, I know the original 151, but I enjoyed the silver and gold. 100.
Okay.
Thought they were good.
Okay.
It got really stupid after that.
I mean, I would argue that, like, it was after Ruby and Sapphire that it got stupid, but, you know, whatever.
Whatever, 251. We can all agree that those were... We can all agree that the 151 are good, 251 are acceptable. And then we can talk about, like, maybe an expansion into the Ruby and Sapphire.
Did you really not like that much?
I didn't spend a lot of time with it, to be fair. So I didn't see them all, but I don't know.
I enjoyed it, but, you know, I mean, it's also like the last generation of Pokemon that I actually played, so yeah. I'm probably a little biased in that regard. But no, I mean, I feel like the main hurdle that they have with that is just simply balancing everything in an appropriate way. Because, I mean, like, realistically, part of the reason Pokemon works is because it's a single-player experience that you can burn through. Like, you are meant to get to a point where you can essentially be like a total badass and defeat the Elite Four and everything, right? And that's why like you're fed all these like TMs and HMs and everything all along the way. And there's also just simply like the economy of Pokemon. Like it's extraordinarily lopsided toward benefiting the player.
Well, I mean, all MMOs get to that point eventually anyway.
Sure.
No, I see what you mean. Like, I'm not saying that like it's like going to be like, oh, you just flip a switch and then like it's good to go.
Yeah.
I think the biggest hurdle is actually like Nintendo. Like, I'm sure that Nintendo has like, I don't know if it's like public, but like I think Nintendo has publishing rights, and Nintendo's never going to put something on the PC. And there's definitely no like there's no way that like you can put an MMO onto a 3DS or anything like that.
Yeah, not really.
And then obviously with the Switch communication issues, you're not really going to put it on the Switch. Like the only platform that this is going to work on is the PC, and there's no way that the Pokemon games ever come to the PC.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I think that's really the biggest hurdle, is just politics.
Sure, I wasn't really counting that though.
I mean, you got to count it.
Well,
because it's getting in the way of my Pokemon MMO, man.
I just kind of feel like that was something that like went without saying,
Well, never.
But I mean,
that's not how we do this. We're on a podcast. We got to say the things. Come on, man.
All right.
We have to say all the things. Otherwise, what's the point of the podcast?
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I mean, like, obviously, like, yeah, you're right. Like, the economy and everything would have to be worked on, and bikes can't cost, like, I think it was like 999,999 coins or whatever to buy a bicycle.
No?
Yeah. No, because, like, at least in the first few games, it was like super expensive to buy a bicycle, and you had to walk until you got the pass to buy the bicycle, because you never actually like purchased the bicycle.
Oh,
because they were ridiculously expensive.
Okay, I kind of remember that now that you say that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, obviously that. On the MMO front, I don't know where in like the timeline.
Are you gonna say Halo? Because I've always wanted a Halo MMO too.
No, see, because I feel like that's where it wouldn't work. I was gonna say Mass Effect.
Yeah, alright. I mean, that's fair.
Because I mean, like Mass Effect, you can at least be like, I'm gonna be like an Asari or, something like that. I'm gonna be a Krogan, and like, it'd be so cool. But I don't. Like I said, I don't know where in the timeline it would take place. I mean, heck, maybe that's what they're gonna do next. Like, Andromeda sucked because they started shoveling, like resources into this Mass Effect MMO that's gonna take place in the Andromeda Galaxy. I would kind of be okay with that, to be perfectly honest, as long as it was done right.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Be a lot of work. I have a feeling that BioWare is out of the MMO business after the Old Republic. Like the Old Republic, I don't know how well the Old Republic is doing, because they're still putting out a lot of content.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, as far as I know, it's doing very well.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like no one plays it, but like it's doing well enough to like keep putting content out and continue to be free to play. But again, like I don't know anyone in my life who's playing it.
Sure, but you also don't know very many people that are super into MMOs to begin with.
Yeah,
the vast majority of your friends are like you, and they enjoy PvP over anything.
Yeah. That being said, I want to play the. I could. Oh, wait, we can't say that yet.
Why?
I could stream it. I could actually like play that game and stream it.
Yeah,
the Old Republic.
You could.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I've honestly been trying to figure out like what I'm gonna do for that, because I have some ideas, but
that could be one of the things that we stream together every once in a while.
Yeah, maybe.
It'd be fun, chill, and
yeah, it would obviously be like all from your side, and I would just be like in the party or whatever. Because
well, I mean that's fair.
There's no way in hell that my laptop would be able to handle running a game and streaming at the same time. It might be able to handle streaming. Like, if I were just be playing a game, like, on a console and then pipe it through that to stream it, then I could probably manage that, but...
Yeah. The Elgato actually, like, takes up, like, very little PC resources to stream.
Yeah, well, and that's why I was saying, like, I might be able to do it, you know, just, like, in general, because I think maybe my current thing can do streaming and stuff, but I honestly don't know.
Okay, well, we're gonna find out.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk more about streaming stuff on the next podcast. Yeah. So that was this podcast. Like I said before, let us know what you guys would like to see in terms of like your favorite franchises branching out into other types of games, etc., etc.
That was an exhilarating way to end this podcast.
I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't realize we were at 30 minutes already.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know. I'm excited because I want the Pokemon MMO. I do. I just want it. Maybe the secret is that like we have to make our own MMO that's basically Pokemon, but like not Pokemon. Like it's the Pokemon MMO, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Kickstarted that bitch.
Yeah, I'm curious what happened to. There was supposed to be an MMO that came out on, I think, the Xbox 360 that was like a first-person shooter MMO or something. They had like a trailer for it at an E3. I think it was called like Helix or something like that. And then it just like disappeared after that trailer. Like it was just gone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, like Scott said earlier, that's all for this podcast. No, stop trying to do things. My system keeps like thinking I'm talking to it. Like I'm about to just take the Kinect out and smash it to pieces or something. Anyways,
you might be the only person left in the world that uses their Kinect.
Well, it's mainly because, you know...
The thing that I find funny about the Kinect is that like all the new Xboxes don't even have a Kinect port on them anymore.
Oh, they don't?
No.
That's hilarious.
They're done. They're out of the Kinect business, I think.
Alright, well, good to know that, I guess.
I'm like 90% sure on that.
Like I said, good to know that, because, you know, streaming, like, you know, my current plan is to just do it all straight from my Xbox and everything, because that'll be easiest, and then the Kinect will just be my face cam. So, yeah.
Good luck.
Anyways, that's all. Bye, everybody.
Whoa! Hold up!
What? We did our outro like 3 times.
We didn't. We never said we'll see you next time on Split Couch Games.
Yeah, but we said that is all for the whatever.
But fine. That's not how we end it.
We'll see you guys next time on Split Couch Games. Bye.
Damn, Ben. Jesus. Bye.